Oh, hey everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Brandt's Corner, where, well, I'm a bit in the dumps. You see, the album we're reviewing today is Fiona Apple's Fetch the Bolt Cutters. Well, no problem, right? Well, that's the thing. Male critics, specifically Anthony Fantano, have gotten a lot of shit for reviewing this album that's specifically made for females. The difference is, between me and all of them, is I, for one, am an ally of female. Anthony Fantano should have known better, reviewing albums like that's his fucking job or something. The problem arises, well, because I'm... So I decided to do the responsible thing in this situation. I got a sex change. Well, at least I tried to.
I'm sorry, sir, but your little woolly whacker is too small. Hey Fred, come take a look at this YouTuber's small dingling.
Well, if the doctors won't give me my sex change, I guess I'll just down all these hormone pills and see what happens.
Two hours later.
Oh, no. I don't think anything happened. Hold on, let me just check. What the fuck? Fiona Apple seems to release a huge album every decade. You had her first two in the 90s, Extraordinary Machine in the 2000s, which wasn't that big, but still, and Either Wheel in the 2010s. And now, Fetch the Bolt Cutters in the 2020s. I remember when this album came out, it completely broke the internet when Pitchfork gave it a 10. But Pitchfork also sucks ass, so you can go on Mew for a good 3 days, because this album was just spammed everywhere. And while that happened with other albums like Jesus King and Little Dark Age, this one kind of stuck out because it wasn't an album you'd think Mew would even care about. And you would be right, they really don't care about it anymore. Everyone has kind of reached the consensus that Either Wheel is the better project. But is that really right? I mean, when this first dropped, it had a 4.40 average on Rate Your Music, which is just unheard of. It's gone to a 3.80 now, but having a 4.40 for that long is absolutely crazy. So was the initial hype right? Or should it go even lower than a 3.80? Let's find out. I Want You to Want Me starts out with this lovely piano melody with Fiona's soothing vocals on top of it. Her voice seems to command a presence and makes you focus on it, and the instrumentation creates a shimmering atmosphere of a dingy piano bar. The lyrics are very well worded, and Fiona's performance is absolutely perfect. The strings use this channeling which I love, where it'll start out in one ear and switch back and forth between them. The percussion keeps ramping up in intensity throughout the song, with different offshoots rhythms being added and added and added, all until it returns to the familiar chorus with the lovely piano melody and same vocal chops. Then this track becomes absolutely chaotic, with Fiona's voice spazzing out and going super high-pitched as the instrumentation just self-destructs around her. Absolute best part of the album, by far. It just creates this complete avant-garde chaos. The perfect intro track, which leads to my favorite song on the record, or at least one of them, Shameika. I absolutely adore how Fiona repeats one of the lesser used melodies on I Want You to Want Me in Shameika as the main melody. It's a nice little touch, and one I definitely appreciate. It really feels like the tracks are two sides of the same coin, where they're supposed to be played in tandem with each other. The piano ramps up in this song, and it feels more energetic and jazzy. Fiona's voice works even better than in the intro track, with a way catchier and more fun hook. After the hook, the instrumentation gets even more weird, which is absolutely fantastic, with these little backing vocals that just add this little... The lyrics are very intricate with their storytelling, and it makes you feel like you're in her shoes, going to school and being placed in her certain scenario. You get to feel everything that she's talking about, and you get to experience it with her. The second hook adds even more to the familiar, with more and more rhythms and more instruments. I call this process of adding more throughout a song Fionaification. Now, I know Godspeed You Black Emperor did it first, but shut up, it's different. That's post-rock.
Shut up.
This technique of starting out bare and adding more and more instruments and rhythms is definitely not something new, but Fiona does it in such an interesting way that I had to coin a new term specifically for her. Speaking of school, do you know Apple actually came up with Fionaification when she was that age?
More is better than less, because if stuff is not if there's more less stuff, then you might want to have some more, and your parents just don't let you because there's only a little bit.
Right.
We want more. We want more. Like, you really like it. You want more.
I follow you.
The title track, Fetch the Bolt Cutters, is kind of a mixed bag for me. The intro and verses are kind of awkward and stilted, with Fiona not really working on top of the production. However, as the verse goes on and more additional Fionaification happens, it becomes really enjoyable, around the time of the first chorus or so. What a great hook, by the way, really catchy and pleasant.
Fetch the bolt cutters, I've been in here too long. Fetch the bolt cutters, I've been in here too long.
Overall, one of the weaker tracks, but by no means bad, just kind of underwhelming. Under the Table annoys me. Yeah, I don't really like this one, specifically with the message. Fiona saying that she has the right to be a fucking nuisance. No one wants to hear about your fucking politics at the table, Fiona. No one cares. At least that's how I interpret the song. Maybe it has a different meaning, but like...
Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up.
Yeah, how am I supposed to interpret that any differently than I'm being annoying at a dinner table with my friends and family. I want to be annoying. Let me be annoying. Shut up. I don't care. The vocals are kind of awkward in the verses. The hook is whatever, and the production, while cool at times, is also just kind of eh. While the main thing I don't like about the song are the lyrics and the message, the instrumentation doesn't really make up for that at all, and it just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. Like, just fucking end already, Jesus Christ. Relay is absolutely hypnotic. I didn't really like it the first time I heard it, but it really grows on you. The vocal performance is one of the best on the whole record, and it doesn't help that there's these thick, full drums that sound absolutely great, and each verse just keeps ramping up in intensity until the hypnotic chorus that brings everything down. I absolutely love this one. There's a lot of Fionaification that happens, but not in the way that you would think. Instead of every part of the song ramping up towards the end, like a post-rock song or like other Fionaification that is used here, instead every single verse keeps ramping up, and then when the chorus happens it goes right down to being very calming and pleasant to listen to. There's so many polyrhythms and different instruments. It reminds me a lot of the tracks on Remain in Light during the first half, with these African rhythms being layered on top of each other in a very cool and interesting way. The ending is clearly inspired by African folk music, with these very percussive instruments and different rhythms taking up the majority of the production, with this very cool vocal harmony coming in at the end. One of the most interesting tracks on the record, for sure. Track of his is when the themes and messages of the album come more to the forefront. The instrumentation and production is some of the best on the whole record, with these light floating notes being contrasted by these heavy, thick, full percussion. The vocal performance is absolutely immaculate, with Fiona jumping from octave to octave all over the place, and it's very impressive. Fiona also gets more growly on some words as her animosity grows against this man, and you just feel so invested in how she's writing it because she's putting her own emotions and she's getting actually expressive throughout the song. She's getting actually expressive throughout the song, and it makes you feel more in line with how she's feeling when she's writing it. One of the best examples I can come up with is A Crow Looked at Me, where it's just disturbing, dark, sad, dreary, and you feel how Phil Elverum feels because he's starting to like tear up on some songs and his voice is starting to croak. It really reminds me a lot of that, in a completely different way, obviously, but still. There's also quite a bit of Fionification in this song, with the percussion adding more rhythms and more layers as it goes on. There's also quite a bit of Fionification in this song. More percussive instruments are added to create this hypnotic, rhythmic world that Fiona engages with perfectly. And she uses it to her advantage in her singing, which works absolutely perfectly. The intro to Newspaper feels like it could be a house song, with this thick, full bass and this emphasis on specific beats. This grows the messaging of Rack of His, with a man breaking apart his ex, Fiona Apple, and his current girlfriend, someone who, it's implied, used to be somewhat close to Fiona. He basically hurt Fiona and tossed her aside, and now she feels empathy for his current girlfriend, who she knows is gonna be going through the same thing as she did. This is more of a vocal-focused track, with the main instrument being drums, specifically to emphasize her vocal performance and lyrics. By the end it becomes extremely intense, with everything ramping up more and more until you feel like it's just going to burst. A pretty good track, but it can feel a bit stagnant at times, unfortunately, with the build not necessarily going as fast as I would like it to go. And it's not like I can't handle, like, slow build-ups. I like Lift Your Skinny Fists. I think I can handle slow build-ups. It's more of the way the song is formatted. I wish that it would go a bit quicker. It's a pop song and not a post-rock song. You don't need to stretch everything out. Ladies feels like a bit of a filler track. It's a nice song for sure, and it's pleasant to listen to, but it doesn't really add anything to the album, and just kind of feels like it's going over the same points that Newspaper and Rack of His did. Like, why even have this? You already went over these points in pretty much the exact same way. It's fine to listen to, but it's overall kind of, what's a big word that'll make me sound smart? Inconsequential. I do like the ending though, when she keeps repeating another woman that just won't get through. I don't know, it sounds hypnotic, and I like when Fiona repeats words or repeats certain phrases over and over to create kind of a rhythm with it. It's a lot more interesting than if she was just to use lyrics that went over specific things that she already has talked about, like in the remainder of the song.
Get another woman to whom I won't get through. Get another woman to whom I won't get through. Get another woman to whom I won't get through.
The whole song is kind of pointless, but the hypnotic sections I like. And if you couldn't tell, a lot of this album is very, very, very hypnotic. Heavy Balloons is kind of a mixed bag for me, in the same way that Fetch the Bolt Cutters, the title track, was. The intro feels kind of pointless, going over the same points again, but when the memeable line,
I spread it like strawberries, I climb like peas and beans, I've been stuck in,
comes on, it grasps my attention, only to lose it like almost immediately after. Yeah, I don't really care about this one. Probably could have been cut, except for the chorus. I fucking love the chorus. Cosmonauts is one of the fan favorites on the record, and let me just say, I absolutely love the piano that's used here. It's so floaty and dreamy, and the melody is so sweet, kind of reminding me of twee pop like Belle and Sebastian. The instrumentation focuses less on rhythm, like the majority of the album, and more on creating a dream pop-like atmosphere, with the chorus taking away all of that and becoming super bare. And I really like that kind of tonal whiplash because it's something you weren't expecting at all. You could say it, subverted my expectations. I absolutely love this track. It's a definite highlight for sure. Probably one of the best on the entire album. It's just that I don't really have anything else to say besides it's very dreamy and creates tonal whiplash really well. For Her is probably the most controversial song on the record, being a very hard-hitting political song with topics such as rape coming up. The opening creates a very dark world with its lyricism being portrayed in such a happy, choir-styled way. It creates such a tonal whiplash that it really works in amplifying the dark messaging of the song. I love how it all sounds with this twisted, dark lyricism coming out of this angelic choir. The lyrics are very visceral and right to the point, including the most famous lyric on the entire record.
I spread it like strawberries. I climb like peas and beans.
No, not that one, that one.
Well, good morning. Good morning. You raped me in the same bed your daughter was born in. Good morning.
I kind of wish there were more songs like this, but that's really my only criticism, and it's not even about the song. This track is art. I'm being fucking serious here. It's honestly perfect, and I cannot stress how good it is. Drumset is whatever. It's a hard follow-up going up after For Her, but it doesn't help that it's kind of bland too. With that being said, it's still a good track, and same with Heavy Balloon or Ladies. They're all really great tracks, it's just that they're not as good as the rest of the album. I don't want to take away how enjoyable each one of these individual tracks are, but being taken in context of the whole album, it makes them feel a little bit more underwhelming. The only track I dislike is Under the Table. Every other track has something to offer, whether it be a little bit or a lot. The message is interesting in Drumset, but it probably could have been cut and I wouldn't have noticed. On I Go, the closing track, is absolutely hypnotic. And I know I keep calling things that, but it really is. This whole album is very good at getting your attention and repeating certain lines that make you forget about everything else and just keep focusing on the instrumentation building around said lines. It creates this broken world with the instrumentation, and everything feels sort of eerie and disturbing even. But Fiona is the calm in the storm, saying how she will move on, being the only uplifting message in a very dark world created by the production. The exact opposite of For Her. I absolutely adore the instrumentation and production of On I Go. It's so dark and gloomy and intense. It's just perfect, and the absolute perfect closer for this album. I know a lot of people have this track as their least favorite, and I don't get that. It's one of the best on the whole record. It's so cataclysmic with everything that it's portraying, with a calm in the storm. Something that you don't see on the record that often, but is a nice ending. Fiona Apple's Fetch the Bolt Cutters is a 1 in a million album, with beautiful vocals, beautiful lyrics, beautiful instrumentation, beautiful messaging, beautiful production. It's just... I don't know, I can't really even think of a word to describe it all. However, a few problems drag it down from its full potential, which is really sad. I mean, this could have been a masterpiece, but it's bogged down by a couple tracks not reaching the perfection of tracks like For Her. And so, with all that said, Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple, it's a light 9 out of 10. I just want to take this album and just love it. So that's what I did.
So I said, that's not a woman, that's my sister.
Guys, I want you to meet my new girlfriend, Fetch the Bolt Cutters.
That sounds foreign. Is she a Brit?
No, she's a woman.
Well, good morning. Good morning. You raped me in the same bed your daughter was born in. Good morning.
Fetch? What the fuck? Why would you say that?
Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up.
This may have been a bad idea. Well, hey there, thank you for making it to the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. This one took quite a while to make, so I really hope the wait was worth it. If you want to support me and support the channel, just make sure to like and subscribe, and maybe comment on what album you would like to see next. Until then, I'm Brandt from esteemed YouTube channel Brandt's Corner.